Welcome, welcome to another installment of The Goddess Keys, where we unlock the tools and the jewels to support us with returning back to our sovereignty on all realms and dimensions. And today I'm actually going to be sharing a TikTok live replay that I recently did. But there were a lot of audio issues with this TikTok live. And, I've been having a lot of issues related to doing TikTok lives recently. I think I'm actually going to be playing around with some different platforms because, interestingly enough, ever since I've started talking about this particular topic, I've been having more audio issues. And I think a part of it is due to some karmic storylines that I'm alchemizing. And then I also think that part of it is around that whole knowledge suppression narrative that can sometimes happen when you start talking about certain trigger words. Okay, so in this particular live, just to kind of summarize to see if this is in alignment with you, I am basically sharing some of the downloads around embracing an abundance frequency within this new earth consciousness that we're going into. What does abundance look like if we get ourselves off of the traditional way of looking at money from more of a hierarchical approach in which many beings need to be suppressed for a few to thrive? And so this talk is discussing money from an approach of polarity integration. How do we integrate the polarity of money, which is a very polarizing topic? It's been referred to as the root of all evil, and it's also referred to as what makes the world go round, right? So how do we kind of reconcile that, especially if we are here to embody a new earth frequency? How do we alchemize our relationship with money in a way that keeps us in alignment with who we are at a soul level, and how do we really embody what our value is as we detach ourselves from some of the oppressive systems created through currency, and at the same time, how do we live a life in which we are able to be paid and valued for the natural and inherent gifts that we bring. So it's kind of this interesting tightrope dance that we do. So that's kind of what this discussion is about. I would play the video, but there's some really poor tracking throughout the TikTok live. The first 12 minutes I had to kind of cut out because you couldn't hear me at all. It was kind of like I was underwater in a lot of ways. And then once the audio was able to come back, then there were some really big tracking issues. So it's kind of annoying if I were to put the actual video of the live up because my words aren't in alignment with the movements of my mouth. So I'm just going to make it audio only. And I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of some context around the way I'm presenting this today. As y'all know, for folks who have been tuning in, I'm very comfortable with doing things audio only and also doing things on video, depending upon what my mood is. But this was originally a video, so I'm just kind of giving y'all some backup information. And if this piques your interest, then you can take the deep dive on Patreon. We're doing a whole series on healing our money story through the waters. And thank you so much for tapping in, sending y'all lots of love. All right, here it goes. Y'all, I'm telling you, these audio issues. Okay, check 1, 2. Can you hear me? Okay, got you. Okay, thank you. All right, that was my dress rehearsal. The full live starts now. So what I was saying earlier is that I've been having different connectivity issues going on live, specifically on TikTok for the past 2 or 3 months for some reason. And I didn't know if it was because I was traveling abroad. So I was in, I spent about 3 to 4 months on the African continent, going back and forth between Egypt and Ethiopia. and doing a lot of clearing as it relates to the topic that I am discussing today, which is around financial wellness from a New Earth framework, okay? New Earth financial wellness. And I learned a lot with my travels in Egypt and Ethiopia. I'm still processing through it. Part of the conversation that I'm having today is related to that, but I'm going to be diving deeper as it relates to these particular countries and the very, very strong bond that it has with our global financial system. Okay, but I'll talk about that more later. But I want to discuss what financial wellness looks like in the new earth, okay? And number one, this message is not going to be for everyone. There's going to be some people who don't really fully understand what I'm talking about as it relates to new earth financial wellness. This is not about credit repair. This is not about paying off your student debt on time. This is not about getting a mortgage and then paying off your mortgage for 30 years, okay? A lot of those things, you know, whether it's been the loans that we've been subjected to, whether it's been mortgages that we've been subjected to, a lot of that, it has been to keep us in a closed loop system. And money in particular has been utilized to keep us from evolving spiritually. Now, that being said, money is very spiritual, okay? So there's a really interesting dichotomy as it relates to money and finances. And if we're just on the side of money's the root of all evil and money's evil and I wish that we didn't have money, then we won't be able to fully evolve out of it. That being said, if we go on to the framework of I love money and I'm going to center my world around money, then we're not going to be liberated from it either. In order to heal our relationship with money and move into the frequency of abundance as we evolve within this new earth consciousness, it does require us integrating the polarity of money, okay? So let me talk a little bit more about money as a trap. We all kind of intuitively know this, right? Because a lot of times we've been in situations in our reality where we've done things specifically for the money. If money was not on the table, we would not do it. Straight up, okay? We've all been in those situations. And anytime we've been in that situation, we felt trapped in some way, shape, or form. Like we may have needed the money, but it came at a huge cost, okay? So I want to talk about the spiritual cost of money. So first and foremost, money is not an earthly issue, okay? Yes, it has been utilized to control us in certain ways on this planet, but it's off planet. It is an off planet construct. It is an interdimensional construct. Okay. So that's step one. In order to really look at your relationship with money from a liberatory, freedom-based framework, you got to go multidimensional with it. It's not a 3D concept, even though it has kept us locked in to the 3D. It has kept us locked in to the false matrix simulation, but it's been done multidimensionally. So that's number one. All right. And so it has been utilized by interdimensional beings. I won't talk about exactly who those are in this particular live. Some of y'all might know or have your own theories as it relates to that. But interdimensional beings who have seen humanity as cattle, property, beings to harvest off of, vampirize off of, okay? So money, the construct of it, can be very vampiric, okay? There is a way in which, if you do things specifically for the money and only for the money, that it can take of your essence. And I know a lot of us have felt this before, okay? This is not the new earth financial system that we're moving into. That must be left behind. It's going to take a while, though, to get us from being reliant upon money. And that's because money has been operating literally off of our life force. Literally off of our blood. I want you to just really kind of sit with that. It has been operating off of our energy. So it is tied to our energy. So it's not as simple as just forsaking money, okay? We definitely want to integrate the polarity. There's a very strong negative polarity with money, and we want to integrate that polarity. We don't want to be indebted to money and thinking that it's our God. And a lot of times we can think that. We can subconsciously think that money is our God in certain ways. And, you know, let's just think about it. If you saw somebody burning a whole bunch of money, what would you do? Like, what would be your immediate reaction to that? I just want you to think about that. You know, not like what you would consciously think, but your subconscious mind would be like, what the heck are they doing? You know, like a lot of stuff would go through your mind. And this is the way in which we've been trained to put money above all else. And that's because it's tied in with our life force, okay? But this has been done interdimensionally off planet with beings who really just think that we're their minions and that we're here to sustain them. But that's not the way things are moving, okay? We are transitioning out of such a frequency, and we're reclaiming our energy. We're reclaiming our life force. We're reclaiming our blood even from the shackles of the fiat currency financial system. But that takes time. We can't just forsake it because the way that money has been tied into the fabric of our existence in the false matrix simulation has been, we need to think about this in a little bit more of an integrated polarity sort of way. So a lot of folks who connect with me either like on my Patreon or on YouTube, I talk a lot about this concept of polarity integration. Nothing is completely evil. Nothing is completely good, okay? We always kind of want to look at the middle ground of things, okay? And we want to do the same thing about money, even though a lot of us may have been oppressed by it. A lot of the folks that I'm speaking to right now may have felt oppressed by their financial circumstances, either within their family bloodline, or they may have been used in different ways to be siphoned off of. You might be somebody who feels as though people are always trying to use you as a resource in certain ways, or you may feel as though you're somehow entrapped by the financial system in a way that is not something that you hear about every day. And that's because that could be something that's really happening to you. And a big piece of this is learning about the origin of our currency system. And that starts in the water. Okay, that's going to start in the water. So money is water. We talk about money being green. We talk about the money tree. We talk about fertility as being green. And that's an aspect of money. But money has been controlled through the waters. So it's really important to know that. Currency, okay? Bank, our banks are, a river bank. This is where money is held in the frequency of water, okay? We are not ruled through the law of the land when we are dealing with money. We are being ruled through the law of water, which is also known as maritime law. We are going in depth with this in my Patreon. Not even this month. I'm not even doing this based upon the Gregorian calendar. For the next few weeks, we're doing this where we're really healing our money story, and we're healing it through the waters. And how does water, let's think about it. How does water play into the interdimensional or multidimensional aspect of money? Let's think about that. Okay. So one thing that we do, knowing that we are in a simulated reality, so a lot of things that we have been taught as being true or accurate might be very false, okay? May have been lies. A lot of times we're taught to look at multidimensional or interdimensional beings by looking up at the sky, looking into space. That space is in the sky. Well, what if it's the opposite? What if space is in the water? Okay, we know like water is a portal. We've all gotten here through the portal of water. We were held within our mother's wombs for 9 months in water. Okay, when we finally exited our mother's wombs, her water broke and we emerged into this reality, the portal of water. Okay, when we were documented at the hospital, our first type of documentation was what? A birth certificate. Now, we spell birth birth, but birth has another meaning if you look at the law of water. Okay, and a lot of us are being ruled right now, and our financial system is ruled through the law of water, maritime law. To kind of learn more about this, start looking into the concept of maritime law and money. You can just start doing some searches as it relates to that. I do have like some playlists and some information that I'm sharing with folks on the Patreon this month to go more in depth with it. But start looking at our specific relationship with law, money, and water. And it might be very intriguing to you. Okay, so water. There's a lot of the sea that we as humans don't have access to. There's a part of the waters where if we were to try to venture off, nobody can. It's pretty, it's scientific fact that, once you get to a certain part of the water, no human can survive. So that there are other creatures that we may have no clue about that reside in the waters. Well, let's think about that. The waters are very vast. Portals can be in the waters, and a lot of times they can be underground and they can tunnel into other dimensions, possibly. Okay. Now, money and currency has been utilized to control our consciousness in a lot of different realms and dimensions on this planet. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do if you are looking to embrace more of an abundance consciousness, and when I think of abundance consciousness, I'm thinking about this from a stage of you're not ruled by money because your frequency is what causes you to be abundant. Okay. It's not about somebody giving you some paper, which isn't backed by anything, which is made up in a lot of ways. That's another thing. A lot of the money that's circulating in our society currently has no basis. Okay. But a lot of times we are being used as the collateral to make that money go around. Okay. And that's done through a lot of word trickery, a lot of wordsmithing, and it's done through maritime law or admiralty law as being one of those things. Commercial law, which is all about commerce, is all about buying and selling things. All of that is done through the waters. There's a reason why even when we talk about or when we learned about the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of us learned about that in school. That was all done through the waters. Okay, so if we think about money being a sort of form of enslavement, isn't it kind of interesting that one of the largest documented slavery expeditions all happened through the waters? Okay, so there's something to there are codes within the story of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, also money is made, the US dollar in particular is made out of cotton. Okay, cotton was a huge export during the transatlantic slave trade. There's a code there. Okay, there's a code to cotton. So definitely looking up more about the frequency of cotton. Cotton has a very high spiritual frequency, but a lot has been done with cotton currently to dilute that frequency and to make it so that it's very difficult to access 100% cotton. Okay. A lot of this has to do with the frequency and the spirituality of money. I'm going to focus on the dollar bill right now. I'm in the United States right now, and I am a citizen of the United States Corporation. So I have a really strong tie with the United States. So I'm going to focus in on the dollar right now. If you were to look at the dollar itself has a lot of different spell work on it. Okay. Just take a look at it. You'll see a lot of different occult symbolism on it. Even the smell of it has a very specific frequency. It's a secret recipe though. I've been trying to figure out the exact recipe of the dollar. I have not had any luck. If anybody has any intel on that, I'm trying to get to the smell of the dollar. You know, I've done a lot of world travel in my time, and not all money smells the same. Okay. So there have been times when I've been out of the US for like really long amounts of time and traveled around Asia. Asia in particular, they don't have that same smell on their currency or the same feel. But, you know, with the travels that I just did in Africa, specifically when I was in Ethiopia and in Egypt, the currency smells the exact same. Okay, so I'm thinking that there's a similar recipe that's being utilized with the currency within Ethiopia and Egypt and the US, which is very, very interesting to me. And I'll be sharing more stuff around what I've been learning about the history of these countries as it relates to our financial system in other downloads. Okay, so there's a spell work. Every time we use money, we are engaging in spell work, whether we're conscious of it or not. It's better to be conscious of it though, okay? Otherwise, we're just a part of the spell, but we're not actually doing anything to command our reality. Now, that being said, money is, a lot of times it's been attached to what they would call black magic spell work, okay? Blood rituals, different stuff like that. And this is true, you know, that it's a vampiric form of magic, okay? It's very much attached to our life force, all right? So what do we do about this? It's like, where do we move from here? We're in this weird, flawed system right now where a lot of us must use this currency in order to go about our daily existence. A lot of us must engage in this spell work in order to engage in our daily existence. This is important. This is spell work. Every time you utilize money, think about you are involved in spell work, okay? You can be the victim of it, okay? Or you can alchemize any spell work or curses that are being utilized against you as you handle money. And depending upon the bloodline that you're from, sometimes you literally touching that currency puts you into a curse sometimes, okay? And, you know, sometimes you handling that particular currency, maybe it's more in your favor. Maybe you're able to circulate money the way that you need it to be. But we're all involved in a collective spell when we trade and pass around money, okay? So how do we get out of this? Well, it's going to be through money in a lot of ways. It's about what we value, okay? What are we paying for? That what we pay for shows what we put our life force into, because the spell work of money has our life force attached to it naturally, okay? So the way that we start to shift this particular financial system, it's already shifting actually, okay? And a lot of that's going to be through what seems to be a collapse. That's a good thing, you know? And the thing about it is you don't want to be a victim to anything, okay? You are the creator of your reality. And if you see yourself past the physical dollar or the physical currency that you hold in your hand or that you see in your bank account, and you start seeing yourself as an energetic life force and frequency that's keeping the system going, because it doesn't move without you, okay? So this does require you to retrieve your power from what is known as the money pyramid. There are these etheric pyramids. There are 18 of them. This is information that I have sourced from a website called Aligning with Earth. I've shared information about this a few times on this platform. One thing you can do to start retrieving your power from this old world financial system, because you definitely want to do that, okay? You're not going to just be able to get rid of money from your reality, but what you can start doing is retrieving your life force from the old world financial systems, Okay, so that can free up your energy in essence to embody the shifts that you want to see in your life. Okay, and to become the frequency of money, and in order to do that, you retrieve your life force from these old world systems they literally need your life force to keep these dollars circulating. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the money pyramid. Okay, and you can always go on aligningwithearth.com, type in their search engine money pyramid, and you can learn more about that. Okay, I also, if you scroll down on my TikTok, you'll see I did a whole post on etheric pyramids, like a meme post where I broke those down too, so you can scroll down and see if you find it there. But you want to visit the money pyramid. Okay, I created a specialized meditation on the Patreon where you can visit any of the 18 etheric pyramids. There's the education pyramid, the medical pyramid, the government pyramid, the money pyramid, the health and vitality pyramid. There's a lot more. There's 18 of them, y'all. Okay, and these constructs have kept us, if you think about pyramids or pyramid schemes, only a certain amount of people can be at the top. And the top, they basically are on the backs of all these other people. Okay, and that's kind of how our oligarchy, elite 1% type system has been perpetuating itself. Okay, and when we hear things about the collapse of things, it's the collapse of those pyramid systems. So you got to think about it. Do you want to be on that when it collapses, or do you want to start retrieving your energy and life force from those constructs now before they topple? Okay, and hey, you retrieving your energy and life force might not be a great thing for those structures, but if you start making that conscious decision to retrieve your life force from it, it puts you in a greater amount of abundance. Okay, because those systems are very closed. If you even think about the pyramid, only a couple people up there can thrive. Okay, the pyramids were commissioned by Pharaohs, which were the monarchs of the ancient times, and they commissioned those pyramids through slavery. Okay. And the same thing can be said for a lot of the way these old world financial structures work. So I'm not going to be sitting here telling you to forsake money and that you should basically be living a hand to mouth existence. A lot of times when I work with folks to deconstruct this, the first thing that we go to a lot of times is fear. Oh my gosh, well, if I don't subscribe to the system, then I'm just going to be destitute and everything's going to be taken away from me, and all the fears come up. I totally get it. And it is true. If you try to forsake that pyramid without withdrawing your energy and withdrawing a lot of stuff, there's a whole thing you got to go through a lot of times, then yeah, you can fall flat on your ass. You can be in moments of destitution where it seems like everything's taken away from you. That's a part of the spell work, y'all. It's a spell, okay? So you being the alchemist that you are, you don't necessarily forsake it, okay? If this is something that has your life force in it, you would want to alchemize your relationship with this spell work and turn it into a spell that actually works for you, okay? This is the game changer. Okay, so you do want to at some point visit the money pyramid, and you can tap into Patreon to learn more about that. There's also I have a free subliminal on my YouTube, which is called Collapsing Etheric Pyramids. And you can check out that subliminal. I actually have a whole subliminal playlist on my YouTube at the Goddess Keys. So if you're just curious about learning more, just even playing the subliminal and listening to it can support you with getting some of the information that you need. I like to treat subliminals as an activation point. A lot of times if I listen to a subliminal on a particular topic, all of a sudden, my higher self gives me an idea about something I need to alchemize, that kind of thing. So that's something you can, if you're interested more in this concept of etheric pyramids, there are resources out there for you to learn more about this. That's one way that we start alchemizing our relationship with this vampiric spell work of money, okay? The next thing we want to do is value ourselves and demand our value through financial resources. I'm very much I guess you would call a multidimensional star seed, that sort of thing. But I believe in getting paid what I'm worth. I believe that I have value. I believe that my life force has value. I believe that my very existence has value. And I will be paid for it. And I would request that every single person who comes across this message, you treat your energy as a precious resource, because it is. It is. And so the next way that we deconstruct the black magic spell work of the fiat currency system that we are currently residing within is we start getting paid what we're worth for doing the things that we love to do, for being who we are. We get paid for it. We get paid for being who we are. We get paid for adding value to our earth. And so that means like we stop getting paid for stuff that sucks our soul. We stop getting paid for things that are not feeding us. We start getting paid for things that we would do if we didn't have to deal with money in our society. That's what you get paid for. That's your career. Okay? There's going to be fear as it relates to that. There are curses that are laid out within the false matrix simulation, so that if you try to basically liberate yourself from the shackles of the money pyramid, that they'll be activated. I'm not saying that that's not a thing. It is, okay? But you alchemize your way through those things, and you get through all of the barriers that would get you out of alignment with getting paid for being who you are. Okay. This also means that we make smarter decisions with our money. And I'm not talking about getting like a financial analyst or buying stocks or cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about investing in the things that you truly value. Investing in things that maybe sometimes we've been conditioned to think that should be for free. You know, one of the things, I work with a lot of folks who are transitioning to creating their own spiritual business. And a big thing that we have to transmute for any healer out there who is thinking about creating their own spiritual business is a lot of times there's programs and a lot of people will be placed in your existence and will make you think that you should be doing healing for free, and that healing, you shouldn't be charging for healing, okay? And once again, if you're healing just for money, then you're out of alignment. But if you are adding value, and if your business, if your spiritual business is doing something that is adding value to your life and that is sourced from your innermost self, yes, you should totally be getting compensated for it. And anybody who's trying to shame you, okay, is just a part of that old world money pyramid. More and more folks are going to be needing the support of the fully aligned healers, the ones that are not invested in the old world systems, okay? And just because, you know, you're in the spiritual arts, there are a lot of folks out there that have been they've been propped up by the old world financial systems, and they happen to be healers. That's also a thing as well. But, you know, this is a huge alchemical work. But you want to really focus in on your relationship with money, because the last point I'm going to give about money and our connection to the false matrix simulation has to do with this. There's some people out there that are watching this that know that this reality is a construct, and this is a kind of a bubble almost, maybe a dome or something, and that there's a larger reality out there. There are people who are incarnated at this time that know that they are in a karmic loop as they're in this earth simulation. They stay in this loop, okay? The same karma over and over again, the same lessons over and over again. There's a weird prison system as it relates to the earth, okay? And there are people who know that they are supposed to break out of that loop. In order to do that, you got to come toe to toe with your relationship with money. Because money has been utilized as probably one of the biggest tools out there that has been utilized to keep us in karmic pain traps, to keep us tethered to this existence. And so when I talk about financial wellness, I'm not talking about how many assets do you have, how many properties do you own, how many cars do you have? Because, truth be told, a lot of the people, a lot of the influencers that you see flashing all that stuff around, they're lifetime loopers. They will loop over and over again. They're not going anywhere. This is their home. This false matrix simulation is where they will stay. And the way in which they have navigated their relationship with possessions has made it so. There are people who know that this is only a stop. This is not where they're supposed to stay indefinitely. And for those folks, this is your great alchemical work. Being able to alchemize your relationship with money so that you have exactly what you need and require and desire for your time within this earth simulation, and that you're never in a state of lack or not having enough, but you're not tethered to all of the trappings at the same time. Okay? That's some like magician type stuff. Okay? You have what you need and you have what you require to have the most full existence while you're here, but you're not shackled by these things. That requires a mindset shift. A lot of the ways our current financial system has worked has been to keep us locked in to our possessions, grasping, holding on to our possessions, holding on to large amounts of money for no reason, just to have it, just to hoard, okay? Those are lifetime loopers. Those are people or beings who will constantly be recycled within this false matrix simulation. And a lot of times they are kind of pulling the strings in a larger scale sort of way. If we see this false matrix simulation as a kind of weird video game, okay? There are folks who are in this game who are only meant to kind of go to the next phase or out of this simulation. And so it's like you need certain things, but for a time, but it's not, you don't just hold on to these things indefinitely, okay? Your inheritance is not material. You are able to materialize everything that you need, everything that you require to thrive, but your inheritance is not material, okay? This message is not going to resonate with everybody, but for the ones that it does, see your relationship with money as your biggest alchemical work, okay? And to get into this magi consciousness, tap into some of the resources that I provide. If you go to my link in bio, I have lots of different resources to support you. It does require knowing when you're in certain consciousness traps. It does require a lot of polarity integration, alchemizing all of the fears that have tethered you to thinking that you need money to survive. No, money needs you to survive, okay? You got to invert that sort of thinking, okay? And getting into the frequency of knowing that your very essence and being is abundance. And when you require something, it is magnetized to you. And that can happen in an instant. If you remove the certain blockages and barriers within this artificial system, which would keep you thinking that you are trapped or that you're some kind of a rat in a maze, okay? A lot of those are artificial programs that you need to be able to intuit and clear your third eye and be able to see that that's an artificial program and clear that from your system. So one thing I also just released is a toolkit, a beginner's toolkit for removing etheric implants. Etheric implants are consciousness suppression programs, which keeps us locked into this simulation. And thinking that we're trapped and thinking that we only have certain options and certain paths to follow. If you're ever feeling trapped at all, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you're ever feeling trapped, that is an artificial construct. You are an infinite being. All that must be done is you must be able to locate where the trap is, okay, and alchemize it. And then the door, the wall becomes a door. It happens very quickly, but it does require you being very conscientious in clearing etheric implants. Okay, so start Googling that, learn more about etheric implants. I have some information about that on my YouTube. There's a whole playlist on Patreon as it relates to that, and I just released a toolkit on removing etheric implants. But there's also lots of different resources. If you start Googling them online, start seeing, like, learn about etheric implants, soul contracts. We have a lot of contracts, subconscious vows, oaths, and agreements that we've taken, either to take vows of poverty or to have our energy siphoned by certain corporations and that sort of stuff. You want to start taking soul contracts really seriously. Where have you taken vows of poverty? Where have you taken vows of lack and limitation? You want to start clearing that stuff now. And once again, you want to learn about your positionality on the money pyramid. What has been your positionality in the old world financial system? In order to alchemize and transmute it, you must know where your positionality is. Okay, so learn about the money pyramid. You can go on aligninguearth.com to learn more about it. I do have a guided meditation so that you can start visiting these etheric pyramids to see exactly what your positionality is, so you can start alchemizing it. Another tool that can support you is I have a genetic path cutting DIY oracle deck. Okay, and this is an oracle divination system that I give you the tools to create, but it's also a co-creation with your higher self. Okay, so that's why it's a DIY divination system. You can even start asking questions. What's my connection to the money pyramid? What's my connection to the old world financial system? What do I need to alchemize? You want to start cleaning up. This is a clearinghouse. We're in kind of clearinghouse energy right now. Okay, do you want to be a part of the rubble? Okay, do you want to be connected to all that that's crumbling right now? Or do you want to kind of already have withdrawn your energy from that sort of stuff and been creating and investing in a new framework that maybe you create or that you co-create with a conscientious group of people? All right, it starts in the spiritual though. A lot of us might try to start that in the material plane and might experience roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And that's because there are some spiritual vows that you will need to alchemize, okay? And there are some consciousness traps that you're going to have to break free from through clearing etheric implants, through revoking soul contracts, vows, oaths, and agreements. There are tools and resources out there, but this is a long game. This ain't no get rich quick scheme. This is about reclaiming your sovereignty, reclaiming your consciousness from all forms of enslavement and money. At some point, we need to address our relationship with money and alchemize it and see where we've been participating in certain curses as it relates to money, how to withdraw our energy from that and turn those curses into an infinite well of blessings, because you are the true currency. All right, that's where I'm going to stop for today. Okay, I am sending y'all so much love. Oh, last thing. I'm recording this on December 23rd. This is the holiday season. Okay, there's a reason why we are encouraged to buy and give gifts and receive gifts at this time. And that's because of the planetary alignment with something that is known as the Galactic Center. This is where when we get closest to what is known as the Galactic Center, the closed loop system begins to open up and there are blessings. There's open source energy. We're really close to open source energy. If you even want to think about the research of Nikola Tesla that he did around free energy, okay?
this is that energy that we're in right now. Okay, so my invitation is find ways to invite abundance into your holiday at this time. Okay, instead of focusing in on the specific holidays that we are trained to observe, and we're trained to kind of drain our resources to do very standard things, remember, our life force is attached to currency. Okay, start thinking about embodying the frequency of abundance and moving out of the closed loop way that money flows during this holiday season. All right, so you might want to start learning about the Galactic Center. There's a reason why this is such a big time for industry. Okay, this is such a big time for stores. They're getting a lot of our energy that we are tapping in with, okay, and funneling it through a lot of these holidays. There's so many holidays during this time. Why? So remember, we think about money not from the 3D, but from interdimensional, intergalactic framework. This is an interdimensional, intergalactic construct. Money is multidimensional. Poverty is a multidimensional construct too. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to end things, y'all. All right. Sending y'all lots of love, joy, and peace. I'll be posting this on my YouTube, and talk to y'all later. Bye.